Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Discovery Channel. I'm Jennifer. So tonight we have a really exciting panel discussion and I'm here with the mediator Parsa. Parsa, welcome to Discovery Channel.
Thanks for that, Jennifer. Really excited to be here today. Just a reminder, if you have a question that you would like to ask, you can call us on 0466 578 695 at any time and we'll answer your questions. Glad to be here.
So you'll be hearing more from Parsa later on, but let's start the night off with our future forecast from Jenny.
Thanks, Jennifer. Jenny here with the weather forecast, but instead of weather, we're talking about climate change. First, let's look at our rainfall data. The outlook isn't promising. Many regions are seeing a decline in rainfall, shifting weather patterns. Droughts are becoming more intense and longer. While sunstorms can cause floods, but don't always refill reservoirs. This uneven rainfall distribution is one of the major drivers in scarcity of water. Now zooming in on the population map, just like heat spots, we see growth hotspots. As global population rises past 8 billion, demand for fresh water is climbing sharply. More people mean more pressure on rivers, aquifers and food production systems and rely heavily on water. So the forecast is clear. We have a growing population and reducing rainfall. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the creative solutions to solve this problem? Over to Parsa for the panel discussion where we will talk to some experts in the field.
Hello everyone, welcome to our panel discussion. Today we're joined here in the Discovery Channel Centre and we're tackling a really big question. And the question is, how can sustainable and just water services be provided and enhanced into the future? Now, this is a really central challenge for our project, and our focus today is Singapore, a country known for its worldwide innovative water story. We looked closely at both its successes and shortcomings and what lessons other cities can learn from Singapore's journey. Joining me today are my fellow group members, each whom have had different dimensions of Singapore's water story and would like to share their expertise.
Hi, my name is Shane and I'm an international environmental engineer.
Hi, I'm Shreya and I'm a sustainability and governance correspondent.
Hi, my name is Elliot and I'm a water diversification expert.
Hi, I'm Masharik. I'm going to talk about the economics and equity of water.
I'm Lakshan. I am talking about the new water technologies and operations.
To start, Singapore's 4 national tap strategies often seen as the backbone of its water story. So I want to ask Shreya, could you please walk us through how each tap has been developed from its early reliance on import to high-tech breakthrough like new water and desalination?
Thanks, Parsa. So to give you a quick summary of the Singapore's 4 national taps, starting off with our local catchment. This is from reservoirs, drains, canals, and it expands the catchment area to about 2/3 of Singapore's land. Then, obviously, as you mentioned, a lot of its reliance is on imported water. This is under agreement with majority Malaysia, but there's also Singapore from the Johor River. Then we have desalinated water, so that is reliable drought-proof source, but it's very energy intensive. And so Singapore launched its new water, or its recycled water, and this is water that's treated through various processes such as microfiltration, reverse osmosis, and ultraviolet disinfection. And this is used for industry, but also blended into reservoirs for drinking.
So thanks for that. I think it is really important that a country is reliable on 4 different fronts. Now, I'm really interested to know, like, across the world, there are definitely countries out there who don't follow this. And my question goes to Elliot now. Is Elliot, what from your expertise, what are like some of the countries around the world who water might be a bit of a scarcity issue?
So let's just set the scene here. So globally, 2.3 billion people still don't have access to safe drinking water, with demand set to rise by 30% by 2050, especially with growing urbanizations in cities and climate change making it harder to treat water for this growing population. So our water systems are being pushed to the edge. So one country that doesn't, in the past didn't follow water diversification was Cape Town. So Cape Town had a day zero crisis in 2018, where the daily water allowance was dropped to 50 litres per person. So in many developed countries, that's less than a shower, maybe a car wash, what you'd use to wash the dishes, your clothes. So what does it say about the imbalance of water infrastructure and innovation in developing countries? So let's take Singapore as an example. So before, they were heavily reliant on importing water from Malaysia. And so what was the main way that they ensured that the country could maintain an adequate water source? Diversification. So desal, importing water, and building resilience into water planning to ensure that there would be enough water for all of the civilians in the country. And so how did Cape Town recover from this disaster? They brought in temporary desal plants, more groundwater was extracted, and strict laws were put in place to limit water usage. So it's not just about innovation, it's about diversification of water sources to prevent these kind of disasters from happening in the first place.
Alright, so thanks Elliot for that. I think that was quite engaging. Oh, getting a phone call. Sorry guys, 1 second. Hello?
Hi, I'm from the audience and I just had a question. Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, please. I'll put you on speaker.
I just wanted to know, so there's so many great technological ideas and solutions to these problems, but how can we possibly afford this? Do you have any comments?
We have just the expert to answer your question.
Thanks for the good question. I think when you're going to implement the new technology, we have to look at the economics very carefully because there are a lot of examples. We can take one good example. The Singapore, how they implement the new. When you're going to implement the new technology, how the economics they use, what are the strategies they use. They use the simple strategy. That's first 40 meter cube of water. They put the less price. If you use the above 40 meter cube, they put the different price. Because of that, who are the poor people? They care if they use like less than 40 meter cube, they can pay less fees. So from that, they got a success in the new technology. In contrast, there was a failure in Bolivia. They privatized the water, and because of that company they increased the price suddenly. Because of that, each family they have to pay 20% of their income. Because of that, government, the public, they came to the road. They started the war. Because of that, the government goes to the failure. These are the strategies when you're going to implement the new technology. We have to take care how we going to put the economy. Be carefully. Thanks.
So as for the next part, now we obviously see that Singapore is a very celebrated success story and it's turned scarcity into resilience through innovation, governance and public trust. But globally, not every attempt to reform water systems has worked out. In some countries, efforts to do all of these sort of large-scale reforms have led to higher prices, inequity and even public unrest, as we saw in Bolivia and elsewhere. Now, I want to ask our next expert, why do you think that in Singapore succeeded so well where other countries have struggled? So I'm going to go to Shane for this one.
So I think what Singapore does well is that they really have the they really have the budget to work around this wastewater problem. And we can see this between different countries. So if we look at Flint and Michigan, we can see one of their greatest problems is that they tried using a cost-saving decision, and what this led to was a public health disaster. We saw corrosive river water, leaching lead from lead pipes into the water, as well as children's health, blood levels going up as well, and even deadly outbreaks of disease like Legionnaire's disease. And I think this really illustrates how budget can come into affecting the wastewater industry. It's really important to understand the context of the situation and to try to account for everyone. And on top of this, we previously mentioned Bolivia, and one of the greatest problems in Bolivia is that there's really an inequality of wastewater management. If you're in the upper echelons of the economy, you can afford the water, you can afford proper managed water. But in Bolivia, for example, if you're not financially capable, you really can't afford proper wastewater and proper managed wastewater, and this can mean that your children, your family can't get proper and safe water, and it's unsuitable for them to drink the water. So it's really about finding the right way to manage the economy so that everyone can get access to safe water. And I think that's what Singapore does well, that Bolivia and even Flint, Michigan didn't really account for.
Thank you, Shane, for those valuable insights into the global challenges and comparisons. That really helps us understand why Singapore model stands out. Now, let's shift our focus into the role of technology. I would like to invite our next panelists to share how innovations like new water desalination have really transformed Singapore's water security. Our technological expert, could you please explain which technological breakthroughs are the most important in reducing Singapore's dependence on imported water?
The most important part of the technology is wastewater management. Like that one, the Singapore and normally Perth, like same technologies use the microfiltration, reserve osmosis, and UV deacidification. Like microfiltration used for the remove the suspended soil and silt and tiny particle like that one. And same as well, reverse osmosis process driving the process of water through the semi-permeability membranes and dissolve the solid and nutrient and component part and another contaminant like that one saved. But because as well as 2000 in Singapore start that way, so reach for the supply for the national supply in wastewater 55% reaching 2060, like the current situation in Perth like 4 to 10% like reach to the that way. After 2060 40% like reach for the national supply. But because the modern development advanced wastewater technology solutions have created fundamental changes in Australia, process technologies such as membrane biological and advanced oxidation process and nutrical discovery system like another one formulate good efficiency of the wastewater treatment plant. But of course in the way good way to continue the Perth like more than 40 to 55% reach the same like Singapore like that one in Perth.
Alright, so thank you for all our panelists for sharing their insights today. We explored how Singapore's remarkable journey from scarcity to resilience and also considered the challenges faced globally when it comes to providing sustainable and just water services. It's clear that there's no one size fit for all solutions. However, Singapore showed that innovation, long-term planning and public trust can create a strong foundation for the future. On behalf of the team, I would like to thank all of our panelists again for being here and thank you for the audience for being part of this important conversation. Before we close out, don't forget to check out our full blog for a deeper dive into these issues and subscribe our channel so you can stay updated for our future discussions. That concludes our session today. Thank you for joining us on Discovery Channel. Just put that on display here.
Hey,
Oh, hang on, sorry.
It's like my I can't even answer.
Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. I didn't catch your name.
my name is Shreya.
Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Discovery Channel. I'm Jennifer. We've got a great... So you'll be hearing more from Parsa later on, but I'd like to start off with our future forecast with Cynthia. For the viewers, Cynthia's on the table with me. What's your face?
And thanks for the audience on their part. That was a real one.